In this presentation, I'm going to explore the idea of ways of using collage. And one of the first things you need to make sure that you've produced is a wide range of tones of paper. In this instance, I've mixed up black, white, and also combinations of yellow ochre. So mixing black and white together to produce greys, mixing white to yellow ochre, black to yellow ochre, and grey to yellow ochre, a variety of tones. Now, when you're working with an existing image, in this instance working from a Euan Uglow, it's a good idea to think about the idea of blocking in the large expanse of background tones first of all. And in this instance, one is now working with the grey values that you've mixed up. So don't draw on the paper and then cut the paper out. Think about the idea that you can draw with the scalpel or pair of scissors. So you can cut directly into the material. And if pieces are in the wrong position, it's quite easy then to move them. So the scalpel obviously needs to be sharp, and I found that the best glue to use is Pritt stick. Particularly if you're working with very, very small bits of collage, you can run the piece of collage across the top of the Pritt stick. Having established the background colours, one then can start to think about working on the figure. Now, if you work the figure in more variations of grey, the spatial possibilities of the collage become flattened. So it's a really good point now to make a transition to your yellow ochre tones. You might begin by blocking in a large flat shape, which is a general sense of the figure. You can then start to cut and shape individual tones to match the tones of the original. When you're working with really tiny bits of collage, it can be quite useful to place those by attaching it to the end of the scalpel. You can always use the scalpel as well to move some of the collage elements around, particularly as after a while you might find that you get quite a bit of glue on the end of your fingers. Obviously, Pritt stick is dead easy to remove with water. So what you're now thinking about are tonal equivalents. Forget the original colour of the image, think instead about how light or dark that image is. And to this extent, it can also be really useful to take your original image and to make it black and white, so you can just see it in relationship to tone. It's also useful to remember that if you've cut, say, a shape of the head out, you can then lay that shape of collage over another piece of paper and cut around it, particularly in the instance of the hair, where you want the hair to line up with the head that you've already made. Remember that if you've placed something in the wrong position, it's very easy to move it. If you haven't quite got the right shape, you can either add a bit more collage or cut into the collage as well to readdress the shape. So it can be quite an organic way of drawing. And that's the real emphasis of this particular session, the idea that you can draw with collage, but also you can think about the idea of tone as a series of planes. As you start to develop the collage and you're trying to make judgments about what the next tone should be, it can be quite useful to literally offer the paper up to the collage. A piece of paper in your hand has a very different reading to the piece of paper in relationship to the other surrounding tones. Once you've completed your collage, you can then think about what you can do with the image. And a collage can be really nicely translated into a stencil print, or also things like palette knife painting.